everyone, it's Narelle here. I'm here with an assembly video for another one of our projects from our Let's Get Festive 2018 event over at Cricut Explore Maker and More Facebook group. Today's project is a Peekaboo flip card, and it's another quick card to put together, and I'll just quickly show you how this one works. So we have a picture in a little peekaboo hole here, and then when we open up the card, we just open it up like that, and then a second picture just slides in over to the right hand side there. So you can use any picture or any photo that you like. You could put a sentiment in there. It doesn't have to be a picture. You could just use photos of your children or your pets or anything at all, really. You could just use a background photo, like some scrapbooking paper or something like that, just to make a really pretty card and a really simple and effective card like that. So really it's endless what you can put in there. What I used was a couple of print then cut images that I purchased, and I then uploaded those into Design Space and cut them out after flattening them to a rectangle. So if I open up the back of this card here, you can see my two images. So there's Santa there, and then on this side here I've got the reindeer. So on this side here, when you're looking for the size to set your picture or whatever it is that you're putting there, just make sure you don't make this any wider than this score mark that's here. So just make sure this square or whatever shape you're putting there is to the right hand side of that score mark, because if you go on that score mark or over it, you won't be able to fold that piece there. So just keep that in mind when you're setting the size for those photos. This one here doesn't really matter, so long as the main part that you want to see is going to fit in that area there, and the size of that space there for when you're looking for your images, that circle there is 2 inches. So just keep that in mind. This one here, you can actually make that much wider if you wanted to, but just remember that it's only that little bit there that's going to be seen. But it doesn't matter if you've got your photo there, but you actually the piece that you're sticking down is actually wider. That doesn't matter at all. It's just this one here that's really important as far as sizing. Okay, so let's close that back up again. Now what I've done on this one is I've embossed this front white piece here, and then I've cut out this sentiment, and it's Merry Christmas in the shape of a tree. Now I cut this from cardstock, and I found it really difficult to transfer that from the Cricut mat to here without twisting the little letters, and you can see that, you know, because it's hard to get those little pieces over to here. Some of my little pieces are already lifting up, and they're starting, and the layers of that cardstock are just starting to separate a little bit. So what I have done for our sample one today, where we're going to be putting it together, is I've used Cricut glitter iron-on vinyl, and I've ironed that onto my embossed piece. So I embossed it first, so I put that through my embossing machine, and then once I'd done that, I then layered the vinyl, iron-on vinyl on here, and then I took that to my easy press and I ironed it on that way. And that is so much easier and quicker than trying to get all of these individual little pieces one at a time and getting them stuck down, because once you stick them down, you're really not going to be getting that back up again. So that's why I decided to go with the iron-on vinyl for this one, and I really like it. And I'm not sure whether you can see how nice and sparkly that is, but it just is so effective. So another difference on the one that we're putting together today is that on this one, this scallop circle there is quite thin. I think it's about only about 1/8 of an inch. And it's quite difficult again to get that A off the mat without tearing it, and then B, getting that to stick down because it's so thin. So in the cut file that I have supplied, you'll find that the scallop circle is actually thicker, and I actually do like it like it better. So that's what will come with the file when you download it, is the thicker one. If you do prefer the thinner one, the way to create that is to go and find the free scallop circle shape, and if you go into Design Space and go to your filter and select free images, and then type in, I think you only have to type in circle and you'll get it, but if not, just type in scallop, and it will show you this free, and it's a solid shape that you'll see. And then once you have done that, add that to your canvas, and then you'll need to resize that. When it comes into your canvas, it won't be, say for example, it'll come in at like maybe 3.111 inches by 3.2 something. It's not a proper circle. So go and change click on the lock, and so that you can change the dimensions on both of them, and then resize that to, I think I made it 2.5 inches. And so it's 2.5 inches horizontally and vertically. And then you're going to put a solid circle inside of that and make that circle, I think I've made it just under 2 inches, and center that circle within the scallop circle, then click slice, and then you'll end up with this piece here. So that's just a quick way to do that. But so from there, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll start assembling the card. So I have done some of it, but I just thought I would do that because it would make this whole part a little bit quicker. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead. So I've got my Nuvo adhesive that I'm using today for some of the little pieces, but in most of it I've actually used just the 1/4 inch double-sided tape. Now you'll see that I've got all these little tabs hanging off these pieces here, and the reason I do that is that it really helps with placement. So if I use tape and I pull off the whole strip, so if I pull all of those off and then go and stick that down, if I've done that crooked, it's really difficult to get that back up without ruining the cardstock that you've stuck it to. So what I do is I put my tape on all 4 sides, and then I just peel back about 1 inch or so of the tape. So I just peel that tape back and then fold it out so that it's hanging off the edge of the 4 sides. And then when I go to, and I'm not actually sticking that on this piece, but then what I do is when I go to sit this piece onto the piece that I'm attaching it to, I make sure that only the sides that have the tape still on them I allow to touch the cardstock behind that. So once I've done that, it's not going to stick because I'm not letting any of the sticky bits touch the cardstock. So I just use that so that then I can then just wiggle that around and I can get that perfect. And then once I've got that in where I want it, I then go to the piece where there isn't any tape, and then I just push that down. Once I've got those pieces attached to the card, I can then just go ahead and pull these pieces of tape out and it'll be perfect. So you'll see that as I go along. So I've done that to all of these pieces here, but what I'm going to be using the glue for is just the scallop circles. Okay, so let's get started with assembly. I'll just put these over here, and what I've done on this piece here, so I'll just show you quickly the pieces that we've got. So we have this piece here that's got the 2 holes and it's scored down the center. It doesn't matter which way you use that. One side obviously has the texture on it and the other side is a little bit smoother, but it doesn't matter because you don't really see that much of it anyway, because it's going to be, once you put these white pieces on, you're really only just seeing that little bit, that little edge there, so it really doesn't matter. So that piece there is what we've got here, and it gets attached to this piece here. So you can see I've got the circle there and then I've got this circle here. So these two are going to go together like that. So you can see that. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be lining, make sure these two circles are lined up. And the reason that I made the hole or the opening here just a little bit less than 2 inches, so it's a little bit smaller than the circle that's underneath, so you can actually just see the outline of that green there, and that's just so that it makes, when I put the two together, it's going to be a little bit neater. And hopefully you'll notice that when you go to put yours together. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to attach these two, remembering that I'm only going to let these bits here, and I'll just have to fold that one back a little bit. So I'm only going to let the bits with the tape on it touch the cardstock behind, and I'll line that up. It's still a little fiddly, but it's certainly a lot easier to do it this way than to try and line it up once all your tape's taken off. So that looks right, so I'm going to, moved it. So now there's no tape on this corner, so I'm going to push down there. There's no tape here, so I'll just wiggle that so that it's perfect, and then push that down there, and then the same here, and then the same down here. So once I've done that, I can then go ahead, I'll just lay that down here, lay that down and pull the tape out. And I'll do that on all 4 sides. And then I've got, or I should have, a perfectly positioned layers. Okay, so that's what we've got now. So when we open that, we've got that. Now this piece here has, on this one here, was just a solid piece with a score line down the right hand side. So just remember that that's got to be on the right hand side when you're putting all these pieces together. Now you've got this piece here, and it's got a score line down here, and I think it's about 1/4 of an inch. And that piece is going to be attached to here. Now we want to make sure that when we do that, and I'll show you on this one, so that's what we've got here. This piece here, you're going to make that a mountain fold, and that is going to be attached to the back of this. Don't put it on the front, put it behind. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll fold that down, and then it's a little fiddly. It might be easier to attach this piece to this piece before you attach it to this, just that you might find that a little bit easier. But anyway, I'm just going to just pull that up there, pull that one up there, and then layer these. Again, making sure that I'm only pressing down on the parts where the tape is, and once I've got that nice and straight, I can then go and press down where there's no tape, and then pull these bits out. Okay, so that's what we've got there. All right. Okay, so that's that bit done. Now what I've got here also is my piece here with the Merry Christmas and the scallop, and that's going to go onto the front. So again, I can just line that up. Make sure I've got equal distance around each side and that the whole lines up, which it does, and then once it's right, I can just pull those out. Okay, so there's the front, and we've got, I've already done this side, so now that leaves me this one to do. So again, just line that up. Before I actually stick that one down, I might just put this green layer on. So for that, I'm going to use my glue. that one on there. So I'll put that one down, and then I'm going to turn that over so that I can see the back, and then I can make sure that it's equal space around all sides of that, so that I can see an equal amount of the green behind the white. So you can see that hopefully there. And once I've done that, then I'll just push that down, and then I can put that one on here. So again, I'm going to line it up. I might just open that up. So put that one there. Again, making sure I've got equal around all sides and that the hole is lined up. So I'm just going to push those little bits down there, and then I'm just going to make sure that it's lined up properly when that card is closed, and it just looks like it needs to come over just a tiny little bit to the right. So that's the handy part about not having stuck the whole thing down. So I'll pop that down and then have another look. And what I can do is I can kind of push that over with that closed, because it's not all stuck down. And that looks about right. So now once I've done that, I'll push that down and then take my tape off. Okay, so now we're at that point. We're almost finished, which leaves me with these two pieces here. So if I open this one as I had it before and open it up like that, so that's what I'm going to do here. So that's what I've got. So this is basically the entire back of the card. This one's going to go here, and this one is going to go here. But what I will do before I stick them down is I'll make sure that they're going to be seen exactly where I want them to be, just in case I need to go and trim some off so that I can move it over to the right or up or down. So if I have that right on that corner, I'll have a quick look and see how that looks. I'll turn that over, and that's not too bad, but I think I'd actually like the bottom of his face to kind of be sitting in the bottom of this circle here. So it might mean that I just have to snip some off. So sometimes it's easier to actually get this piece, sit it behind this circle, and then get it to sit exactly where you want it, like that. Push that down, and then I can see that I need to go and trim those pieces off. So I'm just going to actually do that with a pair of scissors, so it won't be neat. I would suggest you maybe make it a little bit neater, because you don't really see it, but if somebody opened up the back of the card, they would see that it was a little bit messy. So let's have a look at that. That's pretty much how I want it. Okay, so I'm just going to, so normally I wouldn't leave it looking messy like that, and I will go and I will change that later. I'll probably take that one off and just cut it so that it's a little bit neater, but I need to get this one finished so I can show you. And then we'll get our second photo, and that's going to go here. So again, we need to make sure it's going to show in this little peekaboo hole. So I'll put that under there, line that up, and that looks about right. So now I can turn that over, and it's going to actually stick. Sorry, I'll just move that, line that up again, and then it's going stick down on this, and now I can pull my tape off. And I've got some here. And again, it's not 100% straight, and I would definitely go and make that straight before I finish the card. But that basically is what the card looks like when it's finished. So the way to do the way that it operates is you've got this piece, and hopefully you can see how that's going to look at the back. So this shorter piece goes in behind the big piece. So the large piece at the back always goes to the back of the card, and this smaller flap goes in between this piece. So you've kind of got that W shape there, but that's how it goes together, so that then when your person that you're giving it to opens it up, they just have to obviously lift the front, and if they hold on here, it's going to go nice and smoothly, and you can see that there. Okay, so there you go. So that was, as I said, another card from our Let's Get Festive 2018 event. I would love to see your versions of this card, and I hope that you found the assembly easy to follow, and that you'll come back and look at more of our projects and hopefully join in the challenge that we're running there. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.